Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Home Buyer Tips on the Rico Wilson YouTube channel. I'm Rico Wilson, Austin area mortgage banker, number 42612, and I have a guest today, Mr. Kyler Gifford.
Hello.
The San Marcos, Wimberley, Texas area realtor. And thank you for being here, Kyler.
Thank you for having me.
And Kyler showed up with a question about a mortgage-related question. What is that question? What was it that you wanted to ask, Kyler?
So this is a question that I know that a lot of people are having, and I thought who better to explain it than the loan officer himself. And the question is, when we're talking about mortgages, what do points mean? What do you mean by points?
Yeah, that's a real common question, and that has to do a lot with how loans are priced. Because everybody knows what what an interest rate means: 4.5%, 5%, or that's a percent. And when we talk about down payment, for example, we talk about that in terms of a percent of the price of the home. But points go to the loan. One point is 1% of the loan amount. And interest rates don't just work like 4.5%, 4 5/8, 4 3/4, 4 7/8, 5%. Each one of those rates has some kind of points associated with it, either that it costs to get that rate, or that you might receive as a credit for accepting a slightly higher rate.
Okay.
So we have what's called a par rate, which is sometimes there's a par rate and sometimes there isn't, but there's always something that's closest to par rate. So let's say the par rate is 5% today, which means there's no points. You don't pay any points to get that rate, but you don't get any kind of credit towards your closing costs for accepting that rate. So let's say today the interest rate was 5% par. Well, you could get 4 7/8 by paying points. And it's going to be probably a modest amount. So if you wanted that lower rate, you'd pay a little bit for it, and that'd be called points. But if rate wasn't the most important thing to you, you could accept a little slightly higher rate, say 5 1/8, and we'd pay you points to accept it.
Really?
So if somebody wants a little credit towards their closing costs and they're willing to accept a little higher interest rate, very often that's an option.
So if somebody wants to pay points, that means they're paying that at closing. That's when it comes in.
And it's basically prepaid interest. If their hot button is a low interest rate and they're willing to pay a little more in their closing costs, we can buy that rate down by allowing them to pay points. But it also works in reverse. If they don't care so much about the interest rate, but they want a little credit towards closing costs, we can pay them points to take a slightly higher
awesome.
rate. That's how it works.
Okay.
And I think we've gone about to the end of our time. Isn't that right, producer? 3 minutes. All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for that great question, Kyler. That's one that comes up a lot. If somebody needs to reach Kyler to buy or sell a home, he's a great realtor to do that. How do they reach you?
You can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Kyler Gifford Realtor, or on my website, KylerGiffordRealtor.com.
If you need a mortgage, call me, Rico Wilson, 512-633-7953. Thank you very much, Kyler.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for watching. See you next time.